What is going on, garden fans? Welcome back to the Permaculture Homestead. I am out at the project farm site and wanted to do a full walking tour today because things are looking really good. We've been getting a really good amount of rain and things here are starting to blossom out in spring. Come on back and enjoy the journey. So starting right here at the bottom of the hill, our vegetable mandala garden is getting set up. The seedlings are all in the greenhouse. And what happens here as water drains from all of our swales, the overspill, there's a common culvert on the side of the hill that comes down and kind of trickles the water through this little mandala garden. And the water, excess water, will feed the vegetables here in our hugel mounded dirt swales. And the dirt here is great. It's compost that's been mixed here on site. This is a wood core hugel mounds. So we've got some really cooked charred tree stumps in here that's been covered up with wood chips and then dirt. And that's what this mandala garden, how it's built. These are hugel mounded vegetable beds. Now we have bees here. Bees are looking good going into 4th week. It's time to add a box on both hives, open up the entrances a little bit. There is a lot of life and there is a lot of happy, healthy bees in both hives right now. We're going to provide a little more overhang for these bees so that they can stay drier in the wetter temperatures. They have plenty to forage on. Plenty to forage on. Dandelion is all over the place. Not only do we grow nitrogen fixing shrubs like autumn olive that is flowered, but we grow nitrogen fixing ground covers like clover, red clover, which the bees are tearing up right now, and there is a lot of red clover out here at the project farm. So we fix a lot of nitrogen in this soil. We've been doing it now for 3 years. That helps promote happy plants like blueberries, which are heavy feeders anyway. So I'm at the bottom most part of the hill and there is a swale here. This is where water is going to build up. The mound, on the mound are planted things like figs. So there's a few figs breaking dormancy on the swale mound itself. There's another fig breaking dormancy, coming back to life. Another fig not far away. And then another fig. And we'll continue to plant these figs on the swale mounds themselves. They don't like to be completely wet, so their roots will reach down for the water. On the downhill side of our swales, we have our nitrogen fixing shrubs. Autumn olive, and these are everywhere. These are going to be a long-term element that are protecting and hedging pawpaw trees. Pawpaw trees are breaking dormancy. Eventually those pawpaw trees will get very tall. And at the bottom of the hill, things here are planted pretty close together and looks like a monocropping to some degree. We did want to set this whole place up as a you pick, you pull operation. So just to make things easy to identify, we've kind of planted a lot of similar things together. Further up the hill though, it's a lot more wild and a lot more mixed. All of the autumn olive here on site are flowering. They're bringing in beneficial bugs like ladybugs. Oh, come back. Lost them. The bees are getting something to pollinate and some pollen in right now. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 5 total pawpaws growing on this downhill side of our swale on the bottommost part of the hill. On our swale patty, there is a whole hedge of blueberry here. And once again, we've kind of got them all together because we're trying to set this up as a you pick, you pull operation. All the blueberry plants are putting on blueberries. It's very easy for somebody to walk down this swale and pick blueberries and put them in their bucket. The blueberries are here at the bottom of the hill because the soil is the most acidic. It's also the most clay-like soil. It stays very wet for a long time. And blueberries like wet feet and they like acid, so this is where we put them. On the uphill part of this swale patty, the trees, the overstory element, are mayhaws, and we got a couple different variety of mayhaw that are all doing really well. Red star mayhaw, of course, comfrey. Here's more red. Oh, let's get some live action bee pollination stuff. See that bee there? They're everywhere. They're over all the clover. Mayhaws are the tree, the upper story. Here's another mayhaw. This is probably a swamp mayhaw. Yeah, Georgia red mayhaw. We kind of mixed them. We interplanted a couple different varieties of mayhaw here just to see what grows best. Another mayhaw tree here. This is a swamp mayhaw. So a couple different varieties of trees on this bottom patty mixed in with blueberries and autumn olive and figs and pawpaws. And this is the kind of polyculture we're trying to grow here. And there's a lot of that going on. There's a huge asparagus patch right up here that with just a little bit of weeding, if we decided to, this patch of asparagus would blow up. So it looks kind of wild. It may look a little unkept, but believe it or not, this is a fully functioning food forest with a huge amount of diversity. All the layers of a food forest are satisfied, minus a vining layer. And each swale patty looks beautiful. Hey, what's going on? You still in there? If you are, I appreciate you sticking with me for this long. Permaculture is huge. I've only been doing this 5-6 years. I think about people like Jeff Lawton who've been doing this their whole life. And I've learned a lot in 6 years. I can only imagine what that man knows. Appreciate you guys watching. Take a moment, go grab something to drink, give the video a thumbs up, like, share, subscribe. Hit that notification bell down there in the bottom. Yeah, you want to see these videos. I got more coming. I believe it. It's coming. Appreciate you all watching. Enjoy the second half of this journey. It's really just me identifying things. I know it's long. Bear with me. It's looking good. Moving on with the tour. Moving on to our second swale patty. Had some casualties during the winter. However, things like jujube, which are very hardy in zone 8, are blooming out. And we have about 4 or 5 different jujube on site, all doing well. Not too far from that, we have a persimmon. And we have about 4 or 5 persimmons on site that are doing well. We have pomegranate on this second swale patty. We have about 4 or 5 of those. Here we have an apricot tree that died. When we had a late freeze, it was running with sap, and then it froze and all the sap in the tree weeped out, basically killing the tree. So you can see these, this is where sap is kind of frozen out the pores of the tree, destroying the cell walls, killing the cambium from the inside out. So this is a dead apricot tree. We're going to leave it for a while. I might prune it down to a stem and see what comes back, but it was looking really good last year. Now it's looking really dead. Might have to replace that with something else. We have some wild plums here on the second swale patty. Chickasaw plums. These are native, pulled from the wild here in South Carolina. Known plants that do flower and fruit. I've seen them. Now my swale patty here starts getting real tight. So we've got a lot of wet things here, things that like wet conditions. We have a huge hedge of elderberry. Another hedge of elderberry here. And underneath it are blackberries, not just wild blackberries, but we have, and these are really thorny wild blackberries. This is a great protection if you want people to avoid going through things. However, this is a you pick you pull operation. So eventually these giant thorny things will want to be taken over by some of our thornless varieties right down the hill here a little bit. Now obviously these are all thornless. They grow huge, 6, 7, 8 foot tall canes. They're easy for us to propagate these by tip layering in the landscape. And there's a really big hedge of thornless blackberries here. And they're spreading runners just like the thorny varieties. And as we advance this project along, what we're going to be doing is pulling up and pulling out some of the thorny varieties as we do our selective pruning. I think this is a wild maple. All of the seaberry that we have planted, because we've gotten a lot of rain, seem to have gotten established. So we have a lot more nitrogen fixation in the form of seaberry coming. And there is going to be an edible hedge of seaberry here on our swale mound. This is our third swale patty. Tons and tons of diversity, lots of nut trees. Really, this has been too long of a tour already. I don't want to keep you all night. So I'm going to get to the topmost part of the hill. This is the most wild section. This is a mix of fruit and nut trees. And this is really nice in the current stage it's in. This is a persimmon, another persimmon I'm talking about. All of our trees have some sort of companion plant with them or nitrogen fixing shrub or both. Here is a wonderful looking polyculture. We have this ground cover understory shrub layer of blackberry. There is a mulberry here that is putting on heavily. This farm is already now producing and going into its third year. This mulberry will produce a lot of fruit. And this is just one of them on site. This mulberry has got a friend. One of those autumn olive, these nitrogen fixing shrubs that's flowering out. Look at this, look at these flowers. And I will chop and drop these midway through the season so that they stay about 6 foot tall, and that's it. Elderberry is on the swale mound, and we're going to continue to put elderberry on swale mounds. Here is a plum, another plum. I think this is an Ozark plum. And it's putting on fruit. Here, yeah, look at this. And honestly, I don't see any bugs eating these right now. There's chickens that roam through this food forest. They help clean out the forest floor for us. Here's more of this nitrogen fixing red clover. Still bees eating and feeding. This upper portion is going to look really nice in the future. All-in-one almond tree blowing out. Already put on a foot of growth in the spring in 4 weeks. It has its own autumn olive, comfrey, and then a ground cover of alpine strawberries, which are throwing out more runners and spreading. At the same time, that hedge of blackberries are going to be creeping down. This pear, not doing anything. Pecan over here, it's getting a little bug eaten. Another all-in-one almond, more nitrogen fixation, another pear tree, pomegranate, another pecan coming back to life, less bug eaten, gets more sunlight, also nitrogen fixation, comfrey, Another mulberry, mystic red mulberry. And this guy was putting on some really big looking fruit. Let's see if I can get you a shot of this. And there's more on here somewhere. It kind of took a little bit of frost damage on the tips, but seems to be bushing right back out. Chinese chestnut that's going to have to be pruned and shaped somewhat. This tree is going to get very large. And then of course the nitrogen fixation, the tree feeding it, the sacrificial tree. We have more nuts like hazelnuts out here. Hazelnuts are blowing out. We have another casualty tree up there. Might have been another apricot. Yeah, it's dead. That's dead. Another pomegranate. More hazelnuts coming to life. And that's the full walking tour, believe it or not. There is so much more going on. But I don't want to go more than a 20-minute video. Really, I wish I could show you everything here in 5 minutes, but I can't. There's so much going on. I really appreciate everybody's support. Please like, share, and subscribe as always. If you have any questions about permaculture, about this site in general, please just ask. We will be doing tours in the near future. Thank you all for watching. God bless.